Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, I am doing a speed test comparison of the unreleased motorcycles in Grand Theft Auto Online that are going to be releasing sometime soon, maybe in the next couple days, maybe in the next couple weeks, or next couple months. I'm really not too sure, but there were a couple motorcycles that were found within the files of the coding, and I'm going to be testing them out today. And some of these are pretty important tests because we're dealing with multiple millions of dollars here. And at the end of the day, if you're using these bikes, a good portion of that is likely going to be for racing in some aspect. So determining how quick they are in comparison to each other and some of the other bikes in the game are going to be important as well. So let's get this started. The first test we're going to run today is the Shotaro, which is the Tron bike, versus the Hakachu Drag, which recently just became the fastest bike in the game. So my results were pretty interesting. I noticed that the Shotaro had a much better acceleration than the Hakachu Drag, but because my speed test that I was doing, my drag race, was at the airport, and because it was so long, I believe the Hakachu Drag has a higher top speed and ended up catching up to the Shotaro. So in a scenario like this, where you're literally just driving straight for a certain amount of time, I don't even know how long that is, like over a mile easily, it looks like the Hakachu Drag still has a higher top speed. But because of the acceleration of the Shotaro, it will end up making it the fastest bike in the game around a track and when it's been able to test in Grand Theft Auto Online. Here is another kind of drag test that was done in a shorter scale. This is done by my friend Foxy Snaps, and you can see in his results the Shotaro finishes quicker than the Hakachu Drag. So that's what I believe actually happened in this case, is that because the Hakachu Drag does have that high top speed, and even the regular Hakachu still has like the fastest top speed in the game, so it must run in the Hakachu family, but the Shotaro is going to end up being the fastest bike in the game, which is important because the Shotaro is going to be also the most expensive bike in the game at over $2.3 million, which is incredibly pricey. So I think that once again, that is very important that this is established, that it is the fastest bike in the game, and when it arrives in Grand Theft Auto Online, it will be the best bet. It's definitely going to be the most expensive bet as well, but it will also be the fastest. Now, something else to add is, and this has nothing to do with the speed of the bikes, but the Tron-styled light outfits that are coming along with this bike as well, they're rumored to be $200,000 each, and there's 8 to 11 colors that could be unlocked. So, man, just doing that math right there, if you want all the colors, that's easily over $2 million right there alone too. Now, that is just the rumor. There obviously hasn't been any confirmation of that, but if they are $200,000 each, man, you combine that with this bike, and that's about $4 to $5 million right there on the outfits for the bike and the vehicle itself. So I just thought that that was absolutely crazy. So now that we've identified that the Shotaro is the fastest bike in the game, I wanted to do a comparison between one of the more popular vehicles we've had in a while, and that is the Bati 801, and the Shotaro absolutely smoked the Bati 801, which should be no surprise because the Hakachu Drag smoked the Bati. So going by that regard, this vehicle just absolutely crushed it. I can't tell how many seconds it finished ahead in this simple drag test, but it was so much quicker than the Bati 801. So I thought that those results were pretty shocking right there, that you just take the difference between those bikes, and man, it's pretty crazy. So let's move on to another test. I wanted to test the Vortex versus the Shotaro. So these are two unreleased bikes that are both going to be coming. I don't know if they'll be out at the same time, but they're both in the unreleased family. And the results here, not so shocking either. Like we've mentioned, Shotaro is the fastest bike in the game, but the Vortex, not too shabby. The Vortex is going to be a competitive bike, as it finished faster than the Bati compared to the Shotaro as well. So that means it's in between that range of Bati to Hakachu Drag, which will definitely make it competitive. And obviously, as I stated earlier in this video, this test is really just being able to test acceleration and top speed. There's a lot of other elements that go into testing this. Obviously, the driver, the track, subjective things like how experienced of a motorcyclist cyclist you are. So all those things are going to play into effect here. But the Vortex was still a pretty competitive vehicle, so I was actually at the end of the day very, very happy about that. Let's move on to our next test here, which is the Pegassi Esky versus the Shotaro. And the poor little Esky, it just cannot compete against the Shotaro. The Shotaro finished just so much quicker than this vehicle. It easily had to have been like 4 or 5 seconds before the Esky finished its race and hit the fence. So the Esky is going to be one of the slower bikes of this update, although it has great customization. And if you watched my ultimate customization live stream of these vehicles, you would know that it really does have some cool stuff that you can apply to it. But as far as racing goes, it is outmatched by the Bati 801 and the Vortex, so if you're going to use it, you are going to be at a slight disadvantage here. Now what I wanted to do is kind of get the quad box going right now. We're going to be comparing the Shotaro, the Vortex, the Bati 801, and the Hikachu Drag, so you can all see them side by side. This isn't a different race, but it will give you a better idea of where these bikes finish in comparison to each other. So we had the Hikachu Drag, and we also had the Shotaro finish very close to each other, neck and neck. The Vortex coming in third, and then the Bati 801 lagging behind in fourth place. So I thought those results were very interesting. Once again, it was Shotaro, Hikachu Drag, very close, but we know the Shotaro is going to end up being quicker and better around a track and in most racing situations. Vortex, and then following up in fourth was the Bati 801. Now, I also wanted to swap out the Vortex for the Esky just to kind of test this out and see how it would go. And the results were as you expected. The Esky finished in last, but just actually barely behind the Bati 801. I mean, it was like a second or two, but yeah, that kind of shows you where those vehicles sit in comparison to each other. So those are kind of the sporty bikes, and I wanted to get those tests out of the way. That should give you, once again, a really good comparison of where those stand. Now what we want to do is test the Halloween bike versus the Shotaro, and that is the Sanctus. Now, you might be thinking, where in the world is the Sanctus going to be able to compete with the Shotaro? And in most racing situations, it will not. But the Sanctus actually has an incredibly fast top speed. So its acceleration is not that great due to it being a chopper bike. But at the end, the result is actually a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be. So obviously the Shotaro way quicker, but based off of the start where the Shotaro blows off the line and the Sanctus really, kind of has to warm up and get going, the Sanctus has a really high top speed. Now, obviously, that bike costs $2 million. You're not paying for its performance. You're paying for its unique features, aspects, customization, and the fact that it's going to be a rare Halloween vehicle. But at the end of the day, still some pretty cool stuff here. And the Sanctus is going to be a competitive bike in a sense that it's not just going to be all for show and all for looks, and still has a pretty nice high top speed. And last but not least, we're going to be comparing the new Western Demon to the Shotaro as well. And obviously, the Shotaro just whooped the Demon's butt. I mean, that was by far the slowest bike of the bunch here. And we expected that because the Demon, I want to say, is pretty much the same, just with the new additions that have come with this update. So like I said, I did not expect it to be new in any way, shape, or form here. I just wanted to do that comparison as well. So in kind of wrapping up here, let's do a recap. The Hikachu Drag and the new Shotaro are pretty neck and neck. Although, because the Shotaro has such a better acceleration than the Hikachu Drag, and I'm sure that its traction will be extremely good also, in most racing scenarios, it is going to make it the superior bike. So I would have to take a guess that when it does release, it will be the bike to buy, even though it is $2.3 million, which is incredibly expensive. And that's another reason why I wanted to do this video as well, because there's some expensive bikes in this update. Obviously, the Hikachu Drag is $1 million, but who knows? In a few days, in a few weeks, it might become obsolete, where you never need to use it again unless you just really love the look of the Hikachu Drag itself. So that's one reason why I want you guys to be careful right there, because keep in mind, this bike is coming out in, just like I said, it could be a few short days, weeks, months, whatever the case might be, but it will be the best bike in the game. And it's going to be expensive. The outfit you're going to want to wear for it will be expensive as well. So after that, it would go the Vortex, which was actually pretty quick. It's going to be faster than the Bati 801, and I believe it's going to be slightly slower than the Hikachu, which makes sense because it is less expensive than the Hikachu Drag. So it fits right around in that price range right there. Then we have the Bati 801, and then we have the Esky, which of course is the slowest of the sportier bikes. And then we've got those two chopper style bikes, the Demon, and the Halloween Sanctus, kind of wrapping up the end there. But like I said, very, very interesting stuff here in terms of the price, the performance, what you're getting for customization as well. There's so many different things that you have to weigh in when Rockstar, I guess, ultimately set the prices and determine the speeds and acceleration and traction and handling of these vehicles. Now, once again, this test is not meant to be the end-all, be-all of what is the best and what is the worst. It just tests a few simple variables of these bikes, but these few simple variables do actually tell us a lot, and it's gotten me excited for when they're going to be releasing, especially those two at the top, or I guess those three, the Sanctus because of Halloween, the Shotaro because it's going to be the quickest, and the Vortex as well because it's kind of going to be the cheap, quick option. It's going to be really fast, and if you're a competitive biker, you still should be able to manage no problem, but at the same rate, it's still going to be on a lower tier than the Hakatsu Drag and also the Shotaro. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the test that we just ran. Once again, I think this is incredibly interesting. I love doing little tests like this. So as always, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Will you be buying the Shotaro and its accompanying outfits, even though it's set to be the most expensive bike of all time, which is absolutely crazy? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you did go on to enjoy the video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. I will be live streaming here in a bit on my channel, so stick around for that. It's going to be a ton of fun. But of course, without the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.